Hey coach, it's Blake. I just had a few questions about today.
Yeah, sure. Give me 1 second.
Alright coach, so my first question is, why do we have to train cardiovascular?
Well, your heart is a muscle just like any other, right? So as you saw when you came in, I was doing bench press, right? So I was trying to increase the size and strength of my chest. The heart works the same way. The more you train it and the more you do cardio, things like, running and skipping and all that, you're going to increase the strength of your heart. It's going to be able to pump a lot more blood to the muscles, and it's going to be able to be a lot more efficient at getting your oxygen to your muscles and let them work a lot harder.
Alright, so you're getting heart gains.
Yeah.
Alright, well how does the oxygen and nutrients from the blood get into the muscle?
Well, there's a thing called diffusion, and what that is it takes the blood and it pumps it through the arteries into a little thing called capillaries that allow the blood to move into the muscle cells. And so what that does is when the muscle gets the oxygen, the carbon dioxide from the muscle moves into the capillaries and into the blood vessels, and then it comes back to the heart, and the heart gets the blood, pumps it back to the lungs will re-oxygenate it, and then pump it back to the muscles.
Alright, so what exactly is diffusion then?
Well, diffusion is where molecules move from high concentration to low concentration. As you see on my nifty little whiteboard here, this little picture shows that on this side of the cup, there's a lot of molecules, right?
Yeah.
And on this side, there's very few. So this side of the cup has a really high concentration. And so because of that, the molecules are able to move over to the other side of the cup. And so because of that, they're moving from their highest concentration to lowest concentration, which is going to be the same thing in your muscle cells. In your muscle cells, there's going to be a lot of carbon dioxide, whereas in your blood vessels, there's going to be a lot of oxygen. So because of that, the oxygen is going to want to move out of the blood vessels and into your muscle cells, and the carbon dioxide is going to want to move out of the muscle cells and into the blood vessels.
Oh, okay, so sharing is caring for it.
Basically, yeah.
Alright, well what improvements occur in our cardiovascular system when we train it?
Well, the main improvement is a thing called the cardiac output. And the cardiac output is the amount of blood that's pumped per minute around the body. And so there's a little equation you can use to figure it out, which is your heart rate multiplied by the amount of blood per contraction, blood pumped per contraction, right? And that blood pumped per contraction is called your stroke volume. So if we look over here, if you have a stroke volume of 100 milliliters, or with each contraction, your heart pumps 100 milliliters, versus you have a stroke volume of 500 milliliters, right? If your heart rate is the same, 80 beats per minute, at 100 milliliters or 0.1 liters, you're going to be pumping 8 liters of blood per minute to your muscle cells.
Okay.
Whereas if you have the 500 milliliters, you're going to be pumping 40 liters of blood, right?
That's a big difference.
Yeah, so you're going to be pumping a lot more blood and a lot more oxygen to your muscles. So because of that, you're going to be able to supply them with a lot more nutrients to actually make it through a workout. So you can work at a much higher intensity. And now in order to fully understand how the heart manages all this, we should look at a little diagram.
Okay.
So if you see here, the heart is separated into 4 main components. There's the right atrium, the right ventricle, the left atrium, and the left ventricle.
Okay.
And so what happens is the deoxygenated blood coming from the body will return through these little veins called the superior and inferior vena cava, and then they go into the right atrium, pump down into the right ventricle, and they get pumped up through an artery called the pulmonary artery. Okay. That just means that it goes to the lungs. So from there, the blood will go to the lungs, it'll get oxygenated through diffusion, and it will come back through the pulmonary veins into the left atrium and left ventricle, and then it'll get pumped back up into the aorta and pumped through the rest of the body. And so when this happens, the oxygen from the aorta can go all over the body, either up to, your shoulders, down to your quads or whatever, and this allows your muscles to work with a lot more oxygen if it can beat with a lot more, or if it can pump a lot more blood per contraction.
Yeah.
So you understand?
Yeah, I gotta train so that I can get the nutrients to me when I need them.
Yeah, so is cardiovascular training important?
I'd say so.
So are you gonna go do your laps?
Yes, coach.
Good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're a good man.